I'm here, so.
I'm Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
Howdy, Oklahoma.
My name is Chet Holmgren, and I'm down to dunk.
Dead gum.
I'm Josh Giddey, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to dunk.
Is that like you eat them together?
Everybody tells him to get the bag of burgers.
I need like a straw.
Howdy, I'm an artist on the court.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
My name is Kenrich Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
It might be Aaron Wiggins.
This is a troll. It's a troll. I'm trolling.
Howdy, Papa.
Because I think it would take away from who he is, you know? Yeah.
I love Oklahoma. I love Oklahoma to death.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
Perfect. Very good.
I like the hat.
You like the hat?
Vava.
This is J-Dub, and I'm down to dunk. I'll be doing a lot of dunking.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Mondays is my good friend, Michele Berra. Michele, oh, what's up?
Well, first of all, this video gives me the opportunity to watch the intro all over again. And the best part is always Giddy saying with a huge amount of disgust, "Are you eating them together like ice cream and milk?" It's so great.
It is so great. Just as great as the Thunder were in the fourth quarter last night in Phoenix. They beat the Suns 111-99 in a game that did not feel like what looked like a blowout at the end. It was a close game throughout. Yeah. Phoenix led at half. Phoenix led by 6 after 3. And it felt like, oh no, like this is a game that looks like the Thunder are going to lose. And then they outscore the Phoenix Suns 31-13 in the fourth quarter. And it was spectacular. It was really Shea and J-Dub were just unbelievable in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they were. And I think that the strategy of the Phoenix coaching staff was dubious, to say the least. I mean, they decided to go with KD and Beal together early to just punch it and close the game. And it didn't happen. And by minute, I think 8, they were gassed. And there was nothing that they could do to stop OKC, which was very aggressive. I mean, the turnovers were piling up for Phoenix. And part of them were just, yeah, it happens. We're careless. But the huge amount was, hey, we are really putting a lot of pressure on other players to make plays. Like KD can make plays. Brad Beal can make plays. Can the others? And the bet of the coaching staff of OKC was, no, they can't. And they were actually right. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, like OKC played a masterpiece of defense, on-ball defense on both KD and Beal. Because, I mean, those guys can score. They did, but they did inefficiently. And they dished the ball sometimes. But again, they stuck to, hey, we need to guard them and we need to put pressure on ball handlers and try to close out as much as we can. And the game plan worked. And the fact that on offense, Shea and Dub were just insane is, I think, a good closure of a night where OKC, I think, deserved way more for the product that they put on both ends.
Yeah, and they still lost this rebounding battle in the fourth quarter. Yeah. They gave up 5 offensive rebounds. They had 15 shots to the Suns, 21 shots, but the Suns were 2 of 21. Some of it was they were just missing shots.
Yeah.
And then Kevin, they just handled Kevin really well. He was only 1 of 7 in the fourth quarter. He took 6 free throws, with 9 points on 7 shots, which is good and efficient, but he wasn't making anything from the field, which really helped. And then you look at the Thunder, they were 9 of 15 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 11 of 14 from the free throw line. They were awesome. They were amazing in the fourth. And J-Dub had 8, Shea had 14, including the step back 3 that put it within double digits. That was just like, whoa. I mean, the amount of space that he created on that shot, I put it as the play of the game on Twitter, was just like, holy smokes. Like, this dude is unbelievable. Shea was so good. I mean, he was the best player all night. He was just kind of very Kevin Durant, like young Kevin Durant, just chipping away and just kept going. And he was really steady. He didn't seem to get sped up. The only times that I thought he got sped up was defensively. There were times when I was watching him, I was like, he is going to get a steal, and he's just not going to stop until he gets that basketball. And he was just kind of a madman for several possessions. But Shea finished with 35 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. 13 of 22, only 7 of 8 from the free throw line. But, dude, Shea was so sick.
Yeah, it's sick that we are saying only 7 out of 8.
That's only 8. He deserves more free throws. I mean, there's no question about that. And
can I be a little bit, I don't know, nerdy or whatever?
Always, every time. That's what
I
the
think
Thundercats for.
I think that this, by the end of the season, we will see that as, oh, okay, free throw numbers are probably down for most players, which is not the case today. But I felt like they were allowing a lot of contacts on OKC on defense as well. And these guys will be able to learn how to take advantage because Jada was extremely physical. Lu Dort was out of the world physical.
Yeah, he's great.
And they let him. They let him for a lot. I mean, this is not what happens every single night. I mean, against Golden State, we all saw that it was not the case. But on most nights, if you allow OKC to be physical and what you get is getting less to the free throw line, I think that OKC will take advantage of that. Because Shea's great in the mid range, because a lot of guys can score in other ways that are not just getting to the free throw line. And in general, I mean, OKC benefits if you allow them to be extremely physical with hands, with their body on defense.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, especially from like the guard and wing positions. They just need to have more physicality, and I think it does help against a guy like Kevin who struggles under the pressure of physicality.
Yeah.
And they like Dort can just get right up underneath him. And we know, like we all watched Kevin so much here, is that the guys that really killed him were like guys like Chris Paul and Tony Allen and guys that weren't necessarily the biggest. So yeah, they did a good job on Kevin last night. Limited him. He only had 18 shot attempts, which I think is criminal for Phoenix.
Yeah.
You know, he should have, especially on a night where it's like just he and Beal, no Devin Booker. Like they should have a lot more than that because they just don't have any other shot creators outside of them. I mean, Jordan Goodwin off the bench shot the ball okay. He had some nice stretches there. He's a fine player, but he's like a third or fourth guard. You know, he's not.
Even Eubanks had his moments, but
Eubanks was pretty good last night. He had some moments for them, but ultimately the Thunder were great. And there's a lot of grumbling halfway through this game just about like size and physicality, and like there were moments where like Eubanks was more physical and like he was grabbing offensive rebounds and putting them back in. But like look at the plus minus of the game. And I know this isn't always the best way to look at it, but Chet Holmgren, the lone center, plus 27 last night.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was in the fourth quarter. They let the starters kind of ride to victory in the fourth quarter. But if Chet was like this big minus as the lone big man, you know, throughout the season, you'd be a little concerned. But a plus 27, and he controlled the paint in the fourth quarter. They don't have, and I kind of talked about this preseason, but the Suns don't have anybody that can really get downhill. And the guys that do drive to the paint, like Kevin and Beal, like they just wanted nothing to do with Chet.
Yeah.
And he he only had 2 blocks last night, but the amount of control he had over the paint on the defensive end was pretty massive. He finished with a pretty quiet 18, 6, and 4 with 2 blocks, 0 turnovers yesterday, only 3 personal fouls. He just like continues to impress me so much. Like the shooting stroke is obviously something that's very great. 3 out of 6. I continue to be crazy impressed with Chet's game. He's in 33 minutes, and he had a bounce back game because he did not play well in Sacramento on Friday against a team like they should have beat that Sacramento team. I know Sacramento played well. They probably played their best game without Fox against the Thunder, and those games are bound to happen at some point when teams full of veterans that get beat to a pulp, by other teams. They oftentimes will bounce back at some point, and they did against the Thunder, and the Thunder didn't respond well. They got punched in the mouth. The Thunder didn't respond well, and then it was good to see, Chet in particular bounce back after what was a pretty poor showing on Friday.
Yeah, but also J-Dub. I think that I agree with everything you said about Chet. He adds so much to this offense. I mean, it's apparent that when he's on the court, the geometry changes, and it allows Shea to basically pick and choose his spots because he occupies a lot of. In terms of the attention of the defense, like Chet is already drawing a lot of that. So it opens up stuff for others. It was J-Dub last night for many, many reasons because he played a lot with Chet, but also Shea in the fourth. So I really think that it's impressive that a guy like him, he's not super duper young because he's already, I think, 22, maybe?
Dub?
Chet.
I don't know that he's 22 yet. Is he?
I think so.
Okay.
Close to. It's closer to 22 than 21. I think.
Yeah. I think, yes, I do. Yeah, he's still 21. Birthday, May 1st.
Oh, okay. So he's okay. So he's not super duper young. He's not 19 or whatever, but he processed the game at such a high level. And defensively, yeah, you can see him maybe not engaging too much on Eubanks. He can do a little bit more on that end. But if not being a great post defender is what you are hold against him, it's great. Do you remember, Andrew, that game where I think it was the Chris Paul team that played Ayton for the first time in pick and roll?
Yeah.
It was such an atrocious showing. And he was the number one pick. And he was taught as, hey, with that body, he can be a physical. Yeah, it's year one. Chet plays pick and roll defense like he's in. It's already so much better than Ayton today.
He's just he's so much better than Ayton right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is that he was 10% of what Chet is. It's just an aggressive player.
Yeah. So the pick and roll defense is what I care about. The paint patrol is what I care about. The being able to go left to right on the court to close out to a 3-pointer. That is what makes Chet special. Being able to be physical in the post, if it happens in 3-4 years, it will happen because he will get stronger. Nowitzki got stronger, even if he wasn't. So you will get stronger by age.
Well, Durant even.
Yeah.
Durant's gotten a lot stronger. Durant was just as skinny as Chet. And I know that they play different positions, but the game is also so different from whenever Durant came in the league.
What was it, 90 pounds that he couldn't lift?
Yeah. Couldn't lift the bar.
Yeah. So, it will happen. In the meantime, you already have a mastermind defensively. And offensively, I already said everything. But back to the offensive side, for both, I think Shea and Dub, they were so assertive with the 3-point shot.
Mm-hmm.
And in general, to the fact, hey, I'm driving and I'm getting what is mine. And yeah, sure, there were some blocks and there were some moments where they were not super duper effective. But in general, they didn't hesitate. And they were finishing plays, which is something that you need against a team like Phoenix. Because sometimes, I was telling to John this morning on Thunder After Dark, that yeah, sure, you may look at the assist number for J-Dub and say, oh yeah, he didn't share the ball. Sometimes it's not about that for him. There are many players on the team that can pass the ball and can create. Sometimes the best weapon that you have is creating an advantage and use it for yourself. Because having J-Dub taking an open 3 is so much better than try to make the extra pass or having a clear driving path to the basket for J-Dub or Shea is, hey, you need to do that. That is the best way. Sometimes you pass the ball out just to make the defense guess. But on a night where you have it, your duty is to be efficient and score. So it was such a good showing from J-Dub in terms of, hey, I'm able to be a 30-point per game kind of guy when time is right and when I have the space to do so.
Yeah, no question. J-Dub was so good yesterday. Like he
Yeah.
was all-star version J-Dub. He hit spot up threes. He was driving to the hoop. He hit fadeaways. He got fouled on and ones. He was catching lobs and dunking the ball. He was using. He has like a pretty explosive first step when he wants to use it too.
Yeah.
Like he can just do so many things on the court, and he was so in control. And he took a lot of shots yesterday, which I think was really good. And I say a lot. He took 16 shots.
Yeah. It's
And
a proper number. It's not a lot.
Yeah, it's not a crazy number. He took the proper amount of shots and was 31 points on 16 shots. Like the efficiency is crazy. 6 of 8 from the free throw line, 3 of 4 from 3. He was incredible as like the secondary scorer off of Shea. And they're so hard to stop because they can both do kind of the same things. But J-Dub is really good off ball too. And so trying to defend those guys while knowing that Chet is there as a shooter. And I know that Giddey's not been awesome lately, but Giddey was really good as a connector yesterday for them. He was a plus 17. He was 10 points, 6 boards, 10 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Like he played a good game yesterday. And when you kind of bake all that in, they're so tough to stop offensively. And for a team like Phoenix, who's just really not set up very well to defend them, they don't really have any. Drew Eubanks is their best like big man defender, and he's just not that great. And then when you have Bradley Beal out there, and the dude is just a parking cone, he's no good. Nurkic is terrible. Nurkic is so bad, man. Like he's so washed. And then like Koji is okay. Grayson Allen has to play a lot for them, but he's not very good either. I mean, there's just a lot of 8th and 9th men on this team, even like not an 8th and 9th men. There are a lot of 14th, 13th, and 14th men on this team that the reason that people thought they had a great summer is like everybody just knows their names. Like people have heard of Keita Bates-Diop. Great. I'm glad you have. But that guy should not be playing 27 minutes for you.
Oh, no.
And he only is because yeah, there's a lot of like back of the roster guys on this team that are occupying a ton of minutes, and they're paying for it. They're 4 and 6 right now, and a lot of it's because they have missed both Beal and Devin Booker, and that's fine. But you might be missing a lot of Beal and Devin Booker this season. Like that just might be the way that it is, and they're finding that it's really tough to like have a good basketball team. And I just don't even know how good Bradley Beal is anymore. Like he's a good scorer, a good offensive player, but whenever he's not the focal point, and the Clippers are learning this the hard way too, you can't turn somebody who was once a star, especially a star scorer, into like a role player kind of guy. Like it's just not the way that it's going to go. Like you have to do the little things along the way. And like Beal relied on everybody else to do the little things. Harden has relied on everybody else to do the little things for him while he carried the scoring load. When you do that your whole career, and then you're asked to be one of the guys that does the little things, it's not a transition that many guys make and make very gracefully. And so I wonder about Beal in this spot, especially when Booker comes back, because they just occupy the same spots on the court and kind of do the same things. And so I'm just really curious to see what this ends up looking like. I'm not very bullish on the Suns, and that's not just because of the way that they played last night, just because I just don't love their roster construction.
No. And yeah, you may get the night where Okogie looks like Jimmy Butler light. Very few of those. You may have a night where Yuta Watanabe looks like Bertans on steroids, but again, you may get a few of those. And on all the other nights, you bet on the fact that Nurk can stay on the court, and the fact that KD, Book, and Beal are just too much. And to be honest, I mean, if you add Book to last night and you ask maybe Giddey to guard Book, then it's a mess. It's a fat mess. Or Shea, and maybe Shea makes 2-3 fouls. So when they are at full strength, they are still dangerous. But I agree with you. I mean, it's a very, very shaky roster. And the fact that Nurk can barely move and doesn't want to move. I mean, there was one action where he just allowed the defender to blow by without reacting. It was just, oh yeah, it's you. That go ahead. Yeah, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to run the transition and whatnot. So that is sad. That is quite sad for Nurk. I still don't get. I mean, how they allow the Aiden situation to be that bad that quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just. I mean, you have a first round pick. Just if you see that stuff are going south, keep it close and trade him immediately. Not like a year later when you tried. I mean, it was such a tragedy. It was the number one pick, and they got Nurk. Like, wow. They could have had Luka Doncic and like Trae Young, whatever. I mean, I know that it's silly to think that way, but 2 years ago, even after that crazy run to the finals where they melt down and whatnot, if you trade him then, you could get a lot for him. Like a good amount, because it was a year 3 of his deal. So you had a full year at rookie scale and then the extension. So like it's crazy how bad they handle it. And now they have Nurk.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild what that has turned into. It's pretty crazy. Shout out to Bertans for playing 3 minutes last night and recording 0 stats. Just unbelievable. No shots, rebounds, fouls, turnovers, nothing.
A trillion.
Yes, a 3 trillion. So
Yeah.
congratulations. It also used to be called, there's a website called Basketball back in the day. It was a blog, and he would call there was a guy that played for the Hawks. His first name was Mario, and so he would call it a Mario, recording a Mario.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, I remember that.
shout out to Bertans for that. Yeah, J-Dub, incredible. Obviously Shea, who will probably get overshadowed in some ways just because of the novelty of like seeing J-Dub become like one of the better players in the league like this is really cool. But Shea is like one of the better players in the NBA right now.
Yeah, it was clearly better, by the way. He was clearly better yesterday. Like, even if J-Dub was awesome and defensively he was very, I would say, visible on the court, the work that J-Dub was doing.
Way to put it.
But there was no denial that when OKC needed a bucket, Shea made 2-3 crazy step back jumper. It was just like insanely difficult. It look them so darn easy. And that 3-point shot to close the game. It was just okay. That is different.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. Basketball card nerd in the chat says, could you guys debunk the myth that the Thunder would have Şengün and Chet on the same team had they not traded away the Şengün pick? This is picking up steam with a couple national pods lately. I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's possible that they would be on the same team.
Yeah.
I don't think they were ever going to take Şengün. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think he's the kind of player that would lend itself to play the way they want to play. Offensively, yes, he could, because he's a great passer and like you can see all of it. But we're seeing with what a guy like Chet can do for the defense. And I know that they're playing, that Şengün's playing on, like, I think they're 7th in defense or something like that right now. I get it. And he's played better. And that's great. I don't think they were ever going to put him on the same team. No matter how good Şengün looks, I don't think that they were ever going to play. And even looking like Jalen Duren, like they didn't have a whole lot of interest in Jalen Duren from what I've gathered. So I wouldn't, you know what? Like he's probably going to be a better player than the guy they got in the trade, which is Usman Jang. And like you have to live with situations like that. You know, Şengün is really good. Like there's no denying it. Like I'm not going to sit here and bash Şengün's defense or whatever. Like he's playing good basketball right now. And it's possible that, you know, that ends up being not the greatest deal in the world. And you just kind of have to live with that. But I don't think that if Şengün were on this roster that he would be playing as prominent of a role. I mean, he would be the backup center. He'd play the J. Will role for them and probably play it really well. And did the Thunder miss on that? It's possible that they missed on it, but I also just don't think he'd be playing as prominent of a role on this Thunder team as he does for the Rockets, and maybe he doesn't shine as much, and maybe it doesn't work out. We talked about this a lot. I think it's really hard to build a great team around a limited defender like him, but he's done a good job. The Rockets have done a good job right now. I think that this winning streak for the Rockets is a blip. I don't think that they're going to be some awesome team this year. They're also being propped up by a couple players that they picked up as free agents, and that's great, but it feels like it's at the expense of a guy like Jalen Green, who has not looked awesome so far this year. So I don't know. The Rockets are having their moment. That's great, but I'm losing no sleep over it.
Yeah, and I mean you can look at that draft and be extremely critical, and that is fair and fine. I mean, if you think that they had 2 picks, and what they have is now Trey Mann and Usman Jang, basically. Plus, I think
Doesn't look great, and like that's okay to acknowledge that.
that's
Like,
okay. Yeah,
one, like the draft is really hard, and there's gonna be misses. And when you're taking swings and you're trying to figure things out, like there's gonna be misses. I mean, you look at Poku versus Tyrese Maxey right now. Not looking awesome.
no, doesn't look very good.
Like there's gonna be misses, but there's also like I wouldn't trade the opportunity to have Şengün on the team for what they have now. Even if Usman Jang ends up being out of the league. I mean, breaking news: the Thunder sent Şengün to the G League, today. And I don't know how long he's going to be there. I don't know if he's just going down there to practice or what the deal is. But
it would be really funny if the Thunder would be able to actually send Şengün to the G League. He said Şengün instead of Jang.
Did I say
so funny. It was so funny. It would be amazing if they could do that.
The Thunder have used one of their picks and just to gain access to Şengün for a day to send him to the G League.
Yeah. But what I want to say is, it happens. But it's part of the deal. Like the part of, hey, we are focusing on drafting a certain kind of player. Trey Mann had the step back. Usman Jang, his versatile wing / forward. With that package of picks, you could think that they drafted both J-Dub and Jang, which is how we say it sometimes. Maybe for just for ourselves, maybe that is not the truth. But if you think that is the truth, then you wouldn't actually sniff that. Would you be? Do you really want Şengün and 4 picks, or Jang and J-Dub? I don't think that is a question whatsoever.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
you can debate it and turn it out however you want. Şengün is a good player. Şengün is probably great value for where the Rockets pick him. They gave away 2 picks to get him, and it's well spent, and it's working for them to a T. OKC tried to go to a different route. They interview him, and according to himself, it was a very, very thorough interview and hard interview, which is good because it means that OKC really did his due diligence. Maybe that is part of the choice. Maybe they couldn't get enough information. It happens. I mean, I've been to so many interviews as of late, and you see a candidate in front of you. You have so many informations, and you have to make a decision. And maybe they made the wrong decision on Şengün. It happens. Again, to go to the basketball corner, the question, I don't see the package Şengün plus Chet to really work on the court together, to be honest with you. That to me is not really something that I would be elated to see on the court. I much rather have someone that can really be a switchable defender, which Şengün isn't, and a guy that can run the floor and be just physical, not a guy like Şengün, who is another finesse player that occupies many of the places that Chet wants to occupy on offense. So that pairing in my head doesn't work. Can you make it work? Sure.
I mean, they play him in drop coverage a lot. Like you can't play him as the 4, for the Thunder, and you don't want to put Chet in a position where he's not near the rim.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really not it just is what it is. Like the Rockets got a very good player out of the deal. The Thunder have a very good roster. It's just not. It's not worth like losing sleep over because some Rockets fans are posting things on Twitter.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's fine.
like just whatever. Like let them live, and the Thunder also have a great team. So it's like not anything to worry about. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna look at some stats. We're gonna talk about down to dunk night and more. We'll be right back. And we're back after that quick break. Down to dunk night is tomorrow night, Tuesday, November 14th. The only member of Down to Dunk that won't be there is Michele, which is just
Yay!
Alex
it will happen sooner or later. It will happen one day.
Yes, one of these days this will happen. But we are going to meet at Spark, which is just across the street from the arena, before the game, maybe around 4:45. Get some food, do a little meet and greet, hang out together, and then we are going to go to Thunder Spurs, which is an in-season tournament game. It's going to be great. We're going to get to take a picture on the blue court together. How about that? That'll be after the game. I think meet outside of section 104 after the game is over. So some people are sitting in Loud City, some are sitting in the 200 section. So meet at 104 after the game. And then we'll walk down the court together, take a big group photo, and then we'll do a half-court shot competition for courtside seats to a game in the future. You can't go to a game in the past, so it would have to be in the future. That'd be cool if you could pick a game in the past to go to. That would be pretty wild. So yeah, down to dunk night tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see everybody there. We're sold out of tickets, and it's great. It's going to be a fun night. So looking forward to seeing everybody there. Should be a fun game. We have Chet versus Wimby. It's gonna be something else. Michele, the Thunder are 6-4 so far.
Yeah.
With their offense is 7th in the league right now, looking pretty good. The only teams better than them so far this season: Hawks, Nuggets, Celtics, Sixers, Mavs, and Pacers, who are almost 10 points per 100 possessions better than the Thunder on offense, and the Thunder are a top 7 team. So
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's insane. Defensively, they're 17th, which is not where they want to be. They do have a positive net rating, puts them at 12th overall in the league. But yeah, what are your overarching thoughts 10 games in?
I think that there are glaring issues, which everyone is aware of, and there are subtle issues like putting their best effort every single night defensively.
Mm-hmm.
The Sacramento game is the perfect game to look at. If you look their rotations against Phoenix and the rotations against Sacramento, you can clearly see what is one and what is the other. Is it normal? Yeah, kind of. They are young. They are still to adjust to the schedule. Some of the players are, especially Chet, and it happens to be up and down when you don't have the perfect preparation, the perfect, I would say, cohesion, and it's not. I mean, I've seen Shea being way more steady over the past 2 years. It will happen to the other guys as well. I mean, you can see Shea improving from, hey, I can do whatever I want for a game, but then the other is a stinker, to, yeah, I'm doing every single night whatever I want. And sometimes I don't, because I'm a human as well. But it's different. So I think that there are schematic issues as well. I mean, the rotations that they are playing right now are probably not the rotation with which Mark Daigneault will close the season. There is still a lot of experimenting with young guys. There was the Lindy Water
next week. I mean, let's talk about that for a second. Like,
can I say what I mean by that? I'm not saying that they will stop experimenting. I think that they will include more veteran play, especially Micic and Bertans, as the season goes on. I expect them to be maybe not Bertans, but I expect Micic to be a little bit more inside the rotations. And there are many games where he could have played 12 minutes. Maybe it's a stamina thing. Maybe it's a defensive principle kind of thing. I expect Mitic. I always said December, and I still keep my mind to December where he will play a little bit more. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. So there are stuff where, yeah, you can see as weird that players have a lot of leash sometimes, and some others, like last night, Chang had 6 minutes and it was done basically.
Yeah. I just think that we as a Thunder fan base need to understand like the Thunder process that's going on here. And, like we've been through it the past few years, and we would like Thunder fans would say like, "Man, aren't they doing a great job? What a great job Mark is doing." You know, like he's been great. Mark Daignault needs more attention. He needs more of this. He needs more of that. He's so great. He's coach of the year candidate for this year. I don't think Thunder fans would have disagreed with that. Any of those thoughts preseason. And then like the first sign of like some wonkiness in the rotation. It's like, what is he doing? We don't know what is going on with Mark Daignault. Why is this happening? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? He's been the same guy. This is how they've decided to run the team. And I don't think that it's a Mark separate from the front office. I think this is a Mark tied to the front office. I mean, Press has talked about it publicly that they believe it's an advantage to play this way. So I think that this is like a Thunder, like are all tied together here from what we've heard both of them say publicly, that this is like their strategy is like they believe that if they're unpredictable going into these games, that it's an advantage for them. Now, is it going to work every single time? No, it's not. I mean, it frankly didn't. Their rotations weren't pristine last night. I mean, their bench just gave them basically nothing.
Yeah.
Last night. You know,
But Daignault was quick to find different avenues. That he changed a lot. I mean, he was not afraid to make changes to he didn't give too much leash to players that were not like really contributing,
That's true.
which happens. The point that I wanted to make was not, hey, we will see steady rotations. I just think that Kenrich will be part of the closing season rotation a little bit more than what he is right now. Well, way more than what he is right now. And so does Mitic. So I think that there will be instability in the rotations. Yes. There will be tinkering with the rotation. Yes. But we will see maybe other players taking minutes. If some of the experiment, like the Zheng one, are not working, the Poku one are not working. So I expect them to cycle through other players that are currently not part of the rotation, and I also expect players like J. Will to find their footing, because J. Will is not playing bad, but is not playing up to the level that we remember. Part is the league adapting to him, and part is him being back from an injury and just trying to find his rhythm with his new crew.
Yeah, and you can see that, and I still kind of like his process, and like he takes open shots. He's really good with DHO. He's doing a good job. Anyways, Hoopstock says who's questioning or hating on Mark. I mean, I just see it in my Twitter mentions. People.
Oh yeah.
So
it's there.
It's there. It's happening. Maybe Hoopstock is just in like the good corner of Thunder Twitter, where he's not seeing it. But yeah. Travis Cagle in the chat. How are the Thunder looking? How are the Thunder's chances of the in-season tournament looking? Bad. They've lost both their games. I don't think they're making the in-season tournament out of West.
So
that's kind of a bummer, but I would not count on it. They could win tomorrow, and they could play spoiler for the Timberwolves, but I don't think the Thunder are going to the knockout rounds. So, anyways, interesting 10 games. It's been a pretty tough schedule for the most part in these 10 games, and 6-4 is a pretty solid outcome. They played Bulls, beat them. They've swept the Cavs season series. That's over. They won both of those. Got housed by the Nuggets on opening night. Beat the Pistons. pretty good. Embarrassing loss to the Pelicans. A
Come on,
crazy.
embarrassing. They played. Yeah, it was not embarrassing. They
It's
didn't. They wasn't. They
I
weren't
felt embarrassed
rolled.
for them. I felt embarrassed for them
They played it poorly. They executed very poorly.
very poorly.
And they had all the chances to win it. They had the last.
Should have won the game.
Yeah.
Had a massive lead that basically all you had to do was just play hard and you win the game. And
Yeah.
they let go of the rope. And like this is what young teams do. Young teams have embarrassing losses in the regular
Yeah.
season.
It
They
was
have
what we were discussing before, like not being consistent on being hard and aggressive every single night. I think that the games between Sacramento and New Orleans are basically the same. The reason why they lost are the same.
Definitely. And that's something that as a young team, you have to make those corrections.
Yeah.
If you want to be a winning team, a team that makes the playoffs, a team that has the cohesion to make it through a series, to win a series, like you can't have moments like that, throughout the season. Like you have to find ways to win those games. Like you have to find a way to beat that Sacramento team. You have to find a way to beat the New Orleans team, who, by the way, New Orleans has been a mess.
Yeah.
An absolute mess of a team so far this season. And so, it's a rough one. Close one to the Warriors that, depending on how you feel about touching the rim whenever a basketball is going in the hoop, could have been a win for them, but it wasn't. Beat the Hawks and Cavs. Those are great wins. Lose to the Kings, beat the Suns. I think it's been really good so far. They've played a lot of really good teams so far this season, and there's been some mixed results, but overall, like they look really good, and Chet looks really good, and Shea looks great. They're missing Shea in the Warriors game, like that was probably the difference there.
Yeah. And to use Zach Lalonde in the chat, the 60% rate is 49 wins. Yes, it is mathematically true, but the season is not linear. And what they are playing right now is good enough basketball. I would wait until game 25 to see, okay, we can really project that. Because before it's really noisy. I mean, they, as you were saying, Andrew, I mean, they played some tough defense. I mean, the Cavs are a tough defense, and they beat them both times. Golden State is Golden State. Denver is Denver. Then you go in Sacramento. Yes, they didn't have the Aaron Fox, but they played well. They shot the ball better than OKC, and so there is a lot of noise. I really want to see what's the next 10 game look like, because it's after game 20 and approaching game 25, we'll really see what this team is about. Over the next 10 game, they go to Golden State twice, to San Francisco twice to play Golden State. It's not easy. It's not an easy schedule. It will soften up. And depending on, again, what's the state of health and stuff like that, we'll see how this evolves.
Yeah, their next 10 games. We actually don't even know what their next 10 games are exactly. I think we know their next 9, but then because of the in-season tournament, they have to make up some of these games. So we know the next 9. But they have San Antonio Tuesday. Then they're on the road for 3 games. They play at Golden State twice in a row, Thursday and Saturday. And then Sunday, they're in Portland. Back home, Wednesday, November 22nd for Chicago. Back Saturday for Philadelphia. And then at Minnesota, which is their final in-season tournament game. And then Thursday, November 30th against the Lakers, who have looked, there's been mixed reviews there, mostly bad. And the Saturday, December 2nd against Dallas. So it's not
easy.
Not an easy schedule. The only, San Antonio, Portland, Chicago are like the 3 teams that you're like, yeah, you should probably win those games. And then Golden State, they're going to beat Golden State. If you got one out of those 2, you feel pretty good. Philly has been awesome this year.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Minnesota has been really good this year. Dallas.
Super duper tough one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these are tough games.
They can go 3-7 and end this at 9-11.
Yeah, that is possible. I I think that's on the low end of where things end up. They probably are just a little bit closer to 500 after this stretch. And if they're anything better than that, like they've got to be feeling pretty good. But this league is tough.
Yeah.
This league is really, really tough. And that's why you can't get so caught up in like night to night. How are they looking? I mean, it's just about, and the Mark calls it stacking. Like they just have to continue to stack positive days
Yeah.
and continue, some good momentum throughout the season. And there's going to be stretches where they do lose 7 out of 10. And then there's going to be situations where they win 8 out of 10 this
Yeah.
season. They're going to have ebbs and flows and ups and downs. That's the nature of a young team. But boy, are they talented. And the talent is really showing through. And they haven't even really clicked yet.
Yeah.
What I've seen. Like they have stretches. I think that fourth quarter was like a moment where you're like, oh, there they are. Like there's the team that is just dominant.
Yeah.
Then there were moments in the game last night where we were like, oh my gosh, they're going to lose this game. Like they're not going to win. They don't have it together. And so I want to see them click for like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
And some of it honestly comes down to Josh Giddey. I think Giddey has to kind of play his way out of this funk a little bit. And he did a little bit last night. I actually thought he played pretty well last night. Get this team playing faster, score in transition, find guys, rebound the heck out of the ball. Like he's got to figure out kind of where he fits in all of this. And I can see that being like one of the main struggles of this team. I think rebounding is obviously a struggle, but it's something that I think that they're willing to sacrifice in the name of just being so difficult to defend because of the way their roster is constructed. I think that's something that they're willing to concede, and I would be willing to concede if I were them too. But I also just think like one of the other problems is like where does Josh Giddey fit in all of this? I think is something that they are working on and that he's working on. And I'm excited to see when that comes into place because I think it will. And when it does, I think he's going to kind of help bolster everything that they do already.
Yeah, the path is not easy. I think that you mentioned the word connector. We said it many times for Giddey. He's not a connector in the sense of Draymond Green, where he's a vocal leader of the defense and also like one of the smartest passer from the top of the key, which makes it so easy when you have so many shooters running around. I think that Giddey can be a different type of connector, a different type of rhythm setter and tone setter on offense. He's struggling to find a good rhythm and a good, I would say, balance between what I need to do for myself to be aggressive and to be dangerous so that the defense cares about me, and also how I ignite my teammates in order for me not to be an inoffensive hub. This is not easy. He's a guy that can command tomorrow a trade to another team and say, hey, I want my team because I'm that good. I'm a triple double if you just give me 20 possessions. And I don't think that he's taking this way. He's trying to be a functional part of what OKC is trying to do, but it takes time. It takes time. And as you mentioned, when it happens, because I think it can happen, I'm not sure that it will happen, this will look great because Giddey, when he functions in sync with Chet, with Giddey, with Dub and with Shea, it's a beauty. When he can ignite them, when he can occupy places on the court, when he can drive to the basket and just take the defense because he is too smart and picks the right moment to attack. When he attacks when the defense is set, I think that he knows that it's not a great way, and sometimes he does it anyway because he's a young player who wants to show off that he can do more than just be opportunistic on offense. So it will take time, but I would give all the time in the world to see this thing working because it has the potential to be great. Something that I really want to see, though, he can't hesitate as he's doing right now with the three-point shot.
Yeah.
Last year, I was so much happier about the fact that he was not afraid to let it fly. Right now, I don't think that is the case.
Yeah, that I agree. I think that it's one of the tougher things as a pro to go through is like knowing that you're not a lights out shooter and deciding that I'm just going to let it fly anyways.
Yeah.
I think it's psychologically one of the tougher things to do.
Yeah.
It's like know that, man, I'm shooting 19% from 3 this year so far. Like, how do you fight through that mentally? I think it's really tough. Like, I don't blame him for not firing away. I think it's human nature, and like he's like fighting against human nature at this point to like really take a lot of threes. And he took one yesterday, and maybe he kind of determines that like maybe he finds his spot within the offense where he's just taking less shots and is just finding ways to get others involved. But I think you're right. Like, he's got to take the open ones. Like,
Yeah.
when somebody
No, I'm not
hits
saying force it. I'm not saying
Yeah.
force it.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I would. When he is open on the wing, he just has to take them, and he's been doing that. And he missed one in a very crucial moment last week. I just think that psychologically is something you have to battle through and you have to figure out. But no, I still am a very much a Josh Giddey believer. And I know Cason Wallace has had a good start to his season, and he's somebody that people have already started to like slide into that spot in place of Giddey. But like, you kind of saw like one of Cason's flaws is that he can kind of fade, into the background a little bit. And he did that quite a bit yesterday. I mean, look at his stat line yesterday: 17 minutes, 1 shot, 1 assist, 3 fouls.
Yeah.
And not, he's a rookie. He has a lot to learn. Phoenix is a weird team because they basically just have 2 guys that you have to worry about, and then the rest are fringe NBA players. And so it's kind of a weird team. He kind of thrived against, say, a Hawks team, where it's like you have these like 2 guards, and then we always kind of need these other 2, guards in the game that can really help kind of mix it up with them. And, Cason's going to have, I think he's going to have an awesome NBA career. But like we kind of have seen this. Like, you don't have to throw out one NBA player in favor of the other. Like, it'd be great to have 9 or 10 really good NBA players on your team, and like including Cason Wallace and Josh Giddey. So yeah, I really like this. I really like watching this team. I'm really excited to watch them in person tomorrow and see them play against Wembanyama and the really fun San Antonio Spurs. But yeah, I think Josh Giddey is like the biggest conundrum right now. It's like, how do we figure that out? And when they do, I think we'll see them just start clicking on all cylinders and like rip off 8 in a row. I think that I would be surprised if that doesn't happen, at some point this season.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work and they have to go a separate path, guess what? A guy that is a living triple-double that doesn't have enough space is a guy that you can get assets for. So I think that the idea is try to be relaxed and just look at the future in a like calm way. It is bright. Like, whatever Josh Giddey ends up doing, if it's the best connector piece on OKC or the leading guard on another team, OKC will get benefits out of that one way or the other. Yes. And if you look for a brute force kind of guy, you want to fix your entire defense. Yeah, those guys exist, and OKC has all the assets to get him. Mm-hmm. So again, this season is not about that. It's about finding a way to let J-Dub, Giddey, Chet, and Shea, and Dort, and whoever is part of the team to learn how to do it, to learn by themselves what it takes to win. If they don't do it this year, they will do it next year. Yes, if you remember all the great teams, I mean, Golden State, it took Andre Iguodala to be part of that core, but they learned by themselves in the playoffs what it takes to be better than the Spurs or whatever. I don't remember who they lost with. I think the Spurs. So they need to learn that. All the rest, it's for the future. And it's nice to start discussing it, because to me, in my head, the idea, hey, will Giddey fits with this? Is this the right possession? Is the team reacting better when Giddey's on the bench? Yes, of course, I'm thinking about that. I mean, analyzing the game. So of course I look at Kane and say, "Oh, Kane's shooting. You have more space there." But then you see Giddy throwing through 2-3 passes, drive to the basket, and pass. Oh, we need that as well. So it's you have to give it time, and it's fine to talk about it. It's fine to talk about Giddy's future because it's part of the deal. As we discussed Dort, as we will discuss Dort, when his efficiency will drop because it will happen and maybe it will get up again. So all these things will be discussed and it's fine and fair. Just don't be too rushed into, hey, this will never work, or hey, this is terrible, or they should have gotten whoever, Franz Wagner. Yeah, sure, option, not happen, not interesting to discuss it now.
Yeah, and this season, I mean, the Thunder have been pretty clear with the way that Presti and with the way that Mark talk. Like they want to figure this out with this group, with these young guys. Like I don't think that they're looking for a quick fix, and they're playing their young guys, and they're kind of letting them learn the lessons they need to learn. You look at Houston, and maybe Houston's doing it the right way for them. That's great. But like they played Fred VanVleet 41 minutes last night. They played Jeff Green 26 minutes off the bench last night. You know, they only played Jabari Smith Jr., who's a top 5 pick in the draft, 20 minutes yesterday. You know, like Tari Eason, and he's working back from injury, but they only played him 16 minutes yesterday. They're not playing all their young guys like big minutes. Şengün is like and Jalen Green are the exception. Jalen Green just hasn't flat out been very good. But they basically bought wins in the offseason when they signed VanVleet. Like they decided we're going to spend millions upon millions to buy ourselves some wins and move ourselves to phase 2. The Thunder, there's no like, hey, we're in phase 2 now talk with the Thunder. It's like, no, like we're hopeful that this team can get it together for the overlapping primes of the team.
Yeah.
You know, and that the team can be really good here in a few years when those guys are reaching their primes. And until then, like we want them to mesh together. We want them to figure it out. The Rockets pressed the eject button on the Jalen Green, Jabari Smith led team. And they decided, no, we're going to let VanVleet and Dylan Brooks come in and eat up all the minutes. Jeff Green has eaten up 26 minutes. Like they like, no, we can't do this anymore. Phase 2 now, press the button, go. And I think it could be to the detriment of a guy like Jabari Smith, who hasn't been great this season. It's obviously working well with Şengün because I think he plays really well off of VanVleet. That's great. Like the Thunder are doing it in a different path. And I'm not saying like the Thunder's path is like far superior than the Rockets' path.
It's just different.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I think they're doing things right by the guys they have, and I feel better about all of their young guys at this point. And I think that they're forging a path forward that is going to be like really sustainable. And not only is it going to be sustainable, it's going to like start to snowball for them at some point. Because I believe that they have a top 10, top 5 player in Shea. I think that Chet can be a top 15 player in the league, if not better.
Yeah.
I think Dub can be a top 20 player in the league. And if that comes to fruition with those 3, and then Giddey's like a top 40 player, top 20 player, whatever he ends up being too, I don't know. But boy, like that's when things start to really snowball and you can really, gain like true momentum that leads you into the future. You know, VanVleet's a good player. VanVleet's not going to lead this Rockets team for all that much longer. He's a 6-foot point guard.
Yeah.
Like those guys just don't last all that long in the NBA. And so like I wouldn't be worried. I mean, I've seen people, and maybe I'm in just the wrong corners of the Thunder Twitter again, but I've seen circles where it's like people are all worried. Like VanVleet's not the guard of the future. He's the guard of now. Like he's almost 30. So I would just say, like the Thunder are building still for the future, and they still have all the picks. Like it's just not a time to like panic, and I'm not sure that a lot of people are panicking, but it's just a reminder of like where the Thunder are headed. It's not about this season. It's not about this season. All right. Anything else before we go, Michele?
Just commenting on James Henderson in the chat. Trey Murphy's the guy OKC should have taken Notchangun.
You don't have to tell Michele twice.
You don't have to tell me, but on one hand, you have the Treyman pick and the second pick in the draft the year after. Are you sure that with the spacing that Trey Murphy could provide to Shea, OKC doesn't get maybe another win, maybe 2 other wins?
Hey.
If that happens, no chat. And on the 2 scenarios, one that is real, the other is fake, I would choose the real one, where we have chat. And that's it. But yeah, I agree that Trey Murphy would be awesome with this team. If you slide him in that starting spot or whatever spot you want, it's just beautiful to think about that.
Yeah, Murph would be great. And he's also just currently like the greatest dude as well. My buddy Will Guillory, who covers the Pelicans, just like raves about Trey as just a human. Says he's great. Okay, Down to Dunk night is tomorrow. Can't wait to see everybody there. Let us know where you're coming from for Down to Dunk night. Let us know on Twitter. Hey, I'm coming from Tulsa. Hey, I'm coming from Wichita, or wherever you're coming from. Very excited to see everybody there. Lots of familiar faces, probably some new faces too. So be sure to come introduce yourself to me and to Alex and L-Man and Taylor and Jay. It's going to be great. And Michele will be probably asleep during Down to Dunk night. Yes?
I'm sure. I hope.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully he'll be sleeping. But looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow night. We will have a podcast. I think we're going to record it tomorrow night as well. So look for a pod after the Spurs game. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of your Monday. We'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday.